So in this video, we will be seeing about Python data types. So we deal with written information all the time, and probably don't think about the differences between numbers and text. So that is like letters and words. So there is a big difference between numbers and text in computers, because with numbers you can do arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. For example, it's like it is very simple. Everyone knows 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. But if at all we use this in kind of some kind of string which we saw earlier, like inside double inverted commas, then it will become string. Rather, it will not work as a function. Let me give an example. So if at all we use a similar kind of addition for letters a plus a. Okay, so a plus a necessarily it doesn't mean that it will be equal to b, or it will be equal to a or anything else. Okay, so the this is because unlike numbers, whereas letters and words aren't quantity. Okay, so basically numbers are quantity based, and all the like even numbers can be used within a string. So we'll be seeing that. So basically in data types we have many data types. So first let us begin with numbers. So numbers in Python must start with a digit itself, so 0 to 9, and it can have a decimal fraction point also. So basically a dot, which is a decimal point. You can use a hyphen to tell it is a negative number. A number can contain only one decimal point. You can't have multiple decimal points, and it should not contain any letters, spaces, or even if you wanna like tell it in terms of currency, like if you wanna mention in dollars, so dollar sign, so anything or anything else that isn't part of the normal numbers. Okay, so 0 to 9 hyphen, which is used for defining as a negative number. So basically it should start from a negative number, or it can also start from a dot. Okay, so telling whatever is on the right hand side is a fraction part. So that is about numbers. We'll be seeing with respect to code in a while. And next is integers. An integer is a whole number. It can be positive number or it can be a negative number. So there are no limits with its size. But basically we'll be like having 0, -1, or triple line, triple line, triple line, triple line. All these are like valid integers. From our perspective, an integer is just a valid number that does not contain any decimal point. It will have only the it is only the whole number, but including the negative numbers. Okay, so but it does not contain any fraction part. So in no decimal point and numbers after decimal point. Okay, whereas we have next data type known as float. So a floating point number, often called as float for short, is just a valid number that contains a decimal point. Again, there is no size limit for this, so it can be like 1.1, -1.1, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 0. Oh, sorry, not 10, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, something like that. So all these are perfectly valid floats. So if you again work on large scientific numbers, you can put something known as e for exponential. So in the number which can dedicate for 10 power, or something to the raised to the 10 power. Okay, so for example you can have 2 to the power of 10. You can do define it as 2e10. Okay, which is again a valid number. It floats and will be, it is a float data type, and even if there is no decimal point, it can be treated as float also. So if you are familiar with scientific notation, for example, as I was telling, 23e4 can be like replaced with 23 e. E is nothing but 10 to the power of, again I said 4, right? So 4 zeros, 2 3 followed by 4 zeros. Okay, so if you are not familiar with scientific notation, no need to worry. So we like if you are not using in day-to-day work, there is chances are you will never use in Python either. Okay, it's based on your requirement with how exactly you code. If you are working on some kind of data science projects and all, so then definitely these numbers are required. Again, it depends on what kind of data set you are working. So if you are not working in real life, you chances are you might not work in Python as well. So next number type is nothing but complex numbers. Okay, so just like any other kind of number, I hope everyone knows what is a complex number, and also having like the imaginary part and all. So it can be expressed as a like complex numbers can be expressed as an integer or a float. So being familiar with those is sufficient for just about everybody. Though in the interest of being accurate, we should point out the Python also supports complex numbers. Okay. So again, here we will be using some alphabet letter J for our imaginary part. So again, we will not go much into complex numbers. So if you're interested, you can refer a few data sheets so you will understand better. So we'll go further and we have next type of data types. We are already aware of those are nothing but strings. So strings are like kind of opposite to numbers. With numbers you can add, subtract, multiply and divide because they are numbers and represented with quantities. But strings are just like everything else. So for example, in your everyday life we see names, addresses and all kinds of text which would be string in Python, and it is called a string because it will have string of characters. Okay, so it is not just one character, it can have many letters, spaces, punctuation marks and maybe numbers also. So even numbers can be in terms of a string. So to us a string is nothing like it has some kind of meaning like a person's name or an address, but for computers it doesn't have eyes to see or a brains to think with or any awareness that human even exists. Okay, but later on our artificial intelligence is going much further. So again, drastical changes are done, but I'm talking about just the normal personal computers which we are using. Okay, maybe in the future this might not be the case, but at least with respect to the Python perspective, it holds true for now. So it does not have any awareness. So hence, if it is nothing like on which you have to do arithmetic or just a string of characters, so basically it doesn't know how exactly to do arithmetic calculations and all. So unlike numbers, a string are always enclosed with quotation marks, which we also saw in our first program. So hello world was enclosed in double quotation marks. Also, we can enclose with single quotation marks. So again, there are few conditions, boundary conditions, which we'll be seeing in a while coding. So we'll go on with the last data type which we'll be discussing for today. So that is booleans. Okay. So basically boolean is kind of a third data type in Python that isn't exactly a number or a string. So it is called as boolean, like it is named after mathematician George Boole. So again, if you are familiar with digital electronics, definitely you'll be knowing what is a boolean. So it will hold one of the two values, either it can be true or it can be false. So it may be a little odd to have a data type which is something that we can be only true or false. We can definitely represent this with string or a uh, number, but it will come in handy in most of the cases because uh, because of the way computer do their work. Okay, so basically digital computers operate only on zeros and ones. Okay, so hence even this true or false can be represented using zeros and ones. So that is about data types. And again, the Python can like this boolean can be stored in like not just boolean, all the data types can be stored in a particular variable. So we'll be seeing that in a minute. And also, so one thing which I would like to specially mention is if you are familiar with C code or any other Java code and all. So usually in C, C++ and all, you will define which kind of data types it is. But whereas in Python, it is not at all required. So it will automatically detect what exactly is, which type of data type we are using, and what exactly is the data type. We can ask Python itself after declaring also what is the type of it. So again, type is a function which will be seen. So let us now go on to the coding part.